Hi, Ms. Jones. Do you mind just giving me a little bit about your previous and current positions?
Not at all. I started teaching 19 years ago. I'm currently in my 19th year. Next year will be my 20th. I've taught range of grade levels, second, third, and I am currently in a fifth grade classroom.
Okay, so can you just give me a little bit about how you've established procedures and rules to maintain behavior, order amongst your students?
In my classroom, I have a different backgrounds of students. Some of my students are EC students, which are exceptional children. Plus, I teach regular ed students. With my EC students, they get a little bit more leeway on things because I know that they have academic goals, but then they also have special behavior goals. So they know the rules. I work a lot with the special needs program teachers at my school currently, and I've also had to work with teachers that were for our hearing impaired students, which we do not currently have now, but we did previously. The students know the rules, they know the procedures, they know how they are supposed to behave, but they do have some leeway when it comes to what we call marking codes using a behavior chart.
Okay, and I see you kind of touched base on my next question, which was how have you collaborated as a general ed teacher and also having a background with working with special education students. So now, being that you're more of a general ed teacher, how do you collaborate with special ed teachers to benefit your students?
We meet, since we have those teachers that come out into the classrooms, we have to collaborate every day. They come in for our language block, they come in for our math block, and also when there are meetings, we have to sit in on their meetings to make their individualized education plans. We also have to sit in on phone conferences, and anything that arises through the county, we have to make sure we are documenting everything that we're doing with those students, and we have to make sure that we're following their plan.
Okay.
And that's on a daily basis that we have to follow up with them.
Okay, so what methods are you using to encourage your students to explore learning opportunities?
A lot of those students, especially in the summertime, I know they have different meetings and things that they could, groups that they could join. Sometimes I give the parents different materials and things that they could use during the summer. We just make sure that they have everything that they need in place and ensure that they are learning as well as the other students. They do have their accommodations, but they are expected to do everything that everyone else is doing. And we push them a little bit more because we know that deep down inside, they are capable of doing all those things. We make sure that they do not put their disability in front of their education, because just because they have a disability does not mean they're not capable. And then a lot of times I tell my parents, I had a disability and I've overcome that. Plus I went to college, got my degree, plus I went back and got my master's degree. So there's no stopping that, and they can move on. And when my parents hear that, they are encouraged a lot.
Okay, which you actually touched base on my next question as well, which was how have you encouraged parent involvement in the students' learning?
I keep those parents heavily informed, and so does the EC teachers. We make sure that those students are working hard. We make sure they're keeping up with their materials. I even make sure that if I need to, if necessary, I can make phone calls, email, whatever needs to happen is what I do. Make sure that the parents are informed as well, and to make sure that those students are informed, but the parents need to be informed of their rights and the rights of those students. Because if you don't do what the IEP says or the goals that are set forth, then they know that we can be sued, or the school system can be sued for not doing what we're supposed to do.
Okay, and do you have any particular way how you manage to keep up with the paperwork and the schoolwork between you and the general ed teacher? The EC teacher, or when you were working more heavily with the EC students, with the general education teachers, like just your way of keeping up with the paperwork required of that special education student and or teacher?
I have a set of folders, a cubicle that has every child's name, number, and with those folders, I do have them put in their slots. So whenever I need to look at their plans, I have them right there at my disposal. No one else can get to them, not the students, but I can. And to keep up with it, I just follow up, and maybe every week or every couple weeks, I just follow up with the EC teachers to make sure I'm following through with their plans.
And would you have any words of advice or encouragement for individuals going into the EC pathway, or like for parents or even teachers who's just now getting into that path, being that you are experiencing general ed and EC?
One thing that I would say is don't give up, keep pushing on. There's a lot of paperwork involved in anything that you do within the education field. It is a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to manage. But when you get your years of experience in, it is manageable. But you just got to have a good filing system. Just keep pushing on, because that department is a very rigorous department. It's to make it work. It's a lot of paperwork, and you have to make sure you're following the laws of the state, of the federal government. You've got to know all the rules, all the laws, and you've got to make sure you're following them, because you don't want to lose your job. You definitely do not want to be sued. So my thing is just keep proper documentation and make sure you're following through with the statutes and the laws that are given through the state and through the federal government.
Okay, well, I thank you so much for being able to sit down with me and just giving me a little insight on your path of education, because you've been in it for a while. So I just want to thank you again.
You are so welcome, honey.